The Economy of the Mali Empire, Part 1. And so, subsequent to the Battle of Quirina, the Mali Empire was established by King Sundiata Keita and the Mandinka people in 1235 AD. In 1240 AD, King Sundiata seized the city of Kumbi Saleh, also known as Kumbi, essentially putting an end to the dominance of the Ghana Empire in Western Africa. Kumbi Saleh had been the capital city of the Ghana Empire previously. By seizing what useful territory remained from the Ghana Empire, King Sundiata also gained their salt and gold resources, which further drove the newly formed empire's prosperity. The territory of the Mali Empire expanded further, and the Mali Empire increased their revenue and wealth by opening the copper mines of Takeda, located in the region of modern-day Azalik, in the east of the empire. The second ruler of the Mali Empire was Mansa Uli I. Mansa Uli I was instrumental in the increased focus on agriculture for the empire. Now that relative peace had been established in the land, he implemented a large retraining program which encouraged former soldiers to become farmers and produce crops to feed the population. They grew grains, beans, rice, sorghum, millet, papaya, gourds, calabashes, cotton, and peanuts. In addition, they raised poultry, cattle, sheep, and goats. Harvests took place in November and December, just prior to the rain, and any surplus of food could then be sold. As such, Mali became a relatively rich farming territory. The empire was divided geographically into different provinces, and the Mansa, the king, delegated power to governors who oversaw each individual province. The courts of the empire were divided into Islamic courts and also non-Islamic courts for the inhabitants of the empire. Within the Mali Empire, a class of officials to govern specific industries were established, and these were made up of people from important families, as they were known as noblemen, and they were also called Furbis. These noblemen would have titles such as Minister of Finance, Minister of Agriculture, and Minister of Fishing. Indeed, the structure of the empire required a complex network of rulers and ministers due to its size and scale. Furbers were picked directly by the current ruler to ensure they could be trusted and they could be replaced should they need be. The Furbers also had the ability to raise a small army to defend any attacks from hostile groups, both internally and externally. The post of Furber was extremely prestigious and important, and could also be inherited by family members with the permission of the current ruler. Each important town had inspectors called Mokrifs, and there were royal tax collectors stationed at every marketplace. The empire collected taxes on everything that was traded. If something was traded in the Mali Empire, it was taxed. If a merchant had to travel through the Mali Empire to trade something, he was taxed. If the Mali Empire traded something with another kingdom, state, or country, it was taxed. Furthermore, there were many rules on trade. For example, the sources of all gold, which was often used almost like currency until the introduction of cowrie shells, belonged entirely to the king. Gold dust, a gold derivative, could and was also commonly used in trade. Law and order prevailed, and so merchants and their caravans were able to travel easily around the empire. Within the empire, the Mandinka people were grouped into different clans, with the Kita clan being the ruling clan from which the majority of kings came from. Within each clan, there were groups or castes, which were focused on specific functions such as merchants, artisans, soldiers, Islamic scholars, farmers, musicians, griots, gold traders, fishermen, and hunters, to name a few. As was the custom amongst the Mandinka, when males reached the age of 12, they would enter a caste and learn the requisite skills needed to perform a specific set of roles. When females were of age, they typically married and were responsible for teaching and raising children and looking after their households. In 1285 AD, a ruler named Mansa Sakura came to power to rule the empire. Under his leadership, the Mali Empire was able to further expand the territory under its control by making a number of new conquests. He extended the empire along the Gambia River toward the Atlantic Ocean to the west, and also the territory to the east. Mansa Sakura also encouraged trading activities, and an increased number of Berber merchants from northern Africa began traveling to Mali in the west to engage in commerce. The decline of the Ghana Empire provided the Mali Empire with an opportunity to take over not only their territory, but also their influence over the trans-Saharan trade routes. Indeed, this would eventually also add to the economic dominance of the Mali Empire.